Right, Rabbi Sai, we're learning this morning Siman Tov Ayin Ches, Seif Aleph, and Beis, and Be'ez Hashem, some of Siman Tov Ayin Tes as well. Siman Tov Ayin Ches, page 176. Shaloi lechel achal afikomen, achal achilas afikomen. A person should not eat after eating the afikomen, or by Beis to Seifim. We'll learn Be'ez Hashem to Seifim. Seif Aleph. Achar afikomen ein lechel shum davar. After the afikomen is eaten, one doesn't eat anything else. Why not? Says the Mishnah Berurah of Cotton Aleph. Ein lechel, one should not eat. Kadesh leyaver mipiv tamat soshel afikomen. So the taste of the afikomen shouldn't leave his mouth. Shul mitzvah, which is a mitzvah, and idei tamois amachol, shouldn't be negated by having another food afterwards. But the evidence, if it happened to him, if a person ate something after the afikomen, he should go again and eat the afikomen, because I eat the afikomen again. This is a problem, because the Mishnah Berurah we saw yesterday in Siman Tov Ayin Zayin said that if a person eats after the afikomen, he has fulfilled his afikomen. And here it says, if a person eats after the afikomen, he should eat again the afikomen. So to answer this, there is a Dushu note above in on Dushu note 18 in Siman Tov Ayin Zayin that says that we're discussing here in our Siman Tov Ayin Ches somebody who's not yet benched. If you've not yet benched, then you realize that you ate something after the afikomen, eat the afikomen again. But somebody who's already benched, he is yoitza and he doesn't need to eat the afikomen again. Sif cotton base. Don't eat anything after the afikomen. What about drinking? Can I drink after the afikomen? Says the Mishnah Berurah in Shtia with regards to drinking. The Poskim disagree. One should be strict with mashka b'shaka with an alcoholic beverage, not to have something which is alcoholic. And ideally, ideally, one should be careful not to drink at all. Any drink apart from water. Anything similar. Commotion for the Siman Tov Pei Aleph, Mishnah Berurah Cotton Aleph, which will be discussed as Hashem Siman Tov Pei Aleph, but also this is going to be discussed towards the end of the Shir today in Siman Tov Ayin Tes Seif Aleph as well. Mishnah Berurah here says one should ideally not drink anything, only water, or something similar to water. Perhaps this means something which is just a diluted drink, which is basically considered water. Siv Cotton Gimel. Right, now the Shulchan Aruch is interesting. Shulchan Aruch now moves on to the Ramah here moves on to a different point with regards to the way to eat the afikomen. Now we know when the Korban Pesach was eaten, there was a din. It had to be eaten in one place. B'bayis echad ye'ochel, it says in Parashas Boy. Korban Pesach had to be eaten in one house. Similarly, as we'll learn today, Be'ez Hashem, the afikomen also must be eaten in one house, in one place. The Ramah is about to say one shouldn't even have it, as we'll see, sitting half at one table and half at another table, should be eaten all in one place, as we'll see, as is Hashem. Additionally, we'll see that that without afikomen, additionally we'll see that in fact, if a person sleeps in the middle of eating afikomen, and that is something which could happen, it's very tiring. Leil Seder, Erev Pesach, Leil Seder is tiring. The person falls asleep in the middle of afikomen, as we'll see, the parameters, he can't continue to eat the rest of the afikomen, because eating in two stages of sleep is like eating in two places, two settings. That's not the way to eat the afikomen. Let's take a look at the Ramah, the Seif Aleph. Hagar says to the Ramah, so it shouldn't eat afikomen in two places. To loy adif, it's no better than somebody who were to sleep in the middle of eating afikomen. The also which is forbidden, as we'll see. The also which is forbidden, just like a person can't eat the afikomen in two places, and that itself is forbidden because the Korban Pesach wasn't eaten in two places. As we'll just continue straight away into Seif Beis. In fact, somebody who does sleep in the middle of the Suda, meaning in the middle of the afikomen, the Heiketz, and he wakes up, he can't carry on eating the afikomen. because he slept in the middle. It's as if he ate it in two places. B'nei Chabura, if you have a group of people, sheyoshnu miksosan b'tei chasuda, in the middle of the suda, you had 20 people there, and in the middle they were all eating together, and in the middle 15 of them fell asleep. Chayzin v'eichlin, when they wake up, they can continue their afikomen. Interesting scenario, because since there were some at the meal who were awake the entire time throughout the afikomen, therefore it's considered that their group has not been broken, their setting hasn't been broken. Nirdamu kulon v'neru, if they all fell asleep and then they woke up, then they've all lost their connection to the first sitting of the afikomen, the first half of the afikomen, and they can't eat it. Nisnamnu kulon, that's only if they fall asleep. If nisnamnu kulon, they just doze off, yoichlu, then they're still considered a connection to the beginning of the achila of this afikomen. So the remark concludes that all this, sleeping is only a concern. They sleep in the middle of the eating of the afikomen. If a person falls asleep during the suda, they have a hefsek, that's no concern. It's only if they began to eat afikomen and then the entire group falls asleep, then that would break the entire group's ability to continue with the afikomen, to eat the afikomen. Let's take a look at the Mishnah Brura Sif Katan Gimel. One should not eat lafikomen. The rest of the sort of doesn't matter. Lafikomen should not be eaten in two places. Even in one room. Did you know? You shouldn't eat lafikomen. You must eat lafikomen partially one part of the table and partially the other. Partially on this table, partially on another table. To have a kushnim bekomen is also considered eating it in two places. The reason is shafikomen zeichel pesach. We eat the afikomen ends the meal as a zeicher for the korban pesach, and for the pesach, the korban pesach could not be eaten in two places. Because the pasuk says it must be eaten in one house, in one place. Because eating it in two places is no different to eating it in a situation where a person fell asleep. As we'll see, when a person falls asleep and he eats the afikomen partially before and partially after his sleep, he's not yet if cotton hay. Maybe we see that in with regard to matzah, a person can't, meaning the afikomen, a person can't eat it in two places, and similarly, you can't have it into if he slept in between. So again, the korban pesach couldn't be eaten in two places. The afikomen can't be eaten in two places, and similarly, if one sleeps during the suda, it's considered eating it in two places. One's not yet afikomen. Says the Shulchan Mishnah Brura Sif Katan Vav b'soich hasuda. The concern is when a person falls asleep in the middle of the suda. Well, the Mishnah Brura preempts this issue and says it's not really a concern if a person falls asleep in the suda. The concern is if a person falls asleep in the middle of the afikomen. Sif Katan Vav. I'm a divi haramah by God. The Ramah is going to say that clearly. The concern of falling asleep is only if you fall asleep during the middle of the afikomen. And therefore, if a person does fall asleep and when he wakes up, he can't continue to eat his afikomen. Sif Katan Zayin. This falling asleep is considered a break. Vasur Rabbanon Chazal made it as if he ate the korban pesach or as if he ate the afikomen in two places, and he is not yotza. However, if you have a group and only some of them fell asleep, then when they wake up, they can continue to eat because the setting never had an interruption to it. There were always some people awake. Since the rest of the group were awake, even those who fell asleep, is not considered there's been a break in the eating of the afikomen. Furthermore, even if the whole group dozed off, they didn't fall asleep, they just sort of fell asleep. What does dozed off? What does that mean? They didn't fall into a deep sleep, so much. If you'd ask one of them, no, where did he put the afikomen? Where did he find the afikomen? He would have known the answer. If you ask him any similar question, then when you remind him, you put it in this plate, did you put it here? Did you Niska, he'll remember them, yeah. Alive or no. So basically he has a very minimal amount of consciousness, but he is semi-conscious. He's only sort of dozed off. Zekorin misnamnim. If the whole group misnamnim, they sort of dozed off, but they're still semi-conscious, then in not a full sleep, then the din is that even if they all are in that state, the Hayomi can be continued afterwards. Aval sheina koidem lozeh. The concern is only if a person falls asleep or the group falls asleep in the middle of Hayomi. If fall asleep beforehand, during the meal, that's not a problem. The this is not considered a hefsek, given it's not in the middle of eating the Hayomi. This is the opinion of the Mishnah Berurah, Beis Yosef, Katanka, Moshe. Well, the inyan would one have to make another hamoitzi when he does wake up? Okay, he can continue his Hayomi because he was part of a group and the rest of the group didn't fall asleep, let's say, or they all fell asleep, but only partially. Would they need a new hamoitzi? That's a discussion in Hilchos Brachos. It depends if it was a severe sleep or shinas ara, shinas keva, or if it was a heavy sleep or just a light sleep. It would also it would depend on that whether you need a new hamoitzi. But new netilas yadayim should be made without a bracha, because when a person falls asleep, even for just a partial amount of time, then he no longer will have the same mindset to look after his hands, make sure they are clean, and therefore netilas yadayim he would need without a bracha. But hamoitzi would depend on the level of sleep that the person had. Siman Tov Ayin Tes. Says the Shulchan Aruch. Siman Tov Ayin Tes. Berakas Hamozoin Al Koi Shlishi. The benching that is recited on the third cup of wine. The boy Saif Echad. Sif Aleph. Achar Kach. When one has finished eating Hayomi, Moiz Geloi Koi Shlishi, they pour for the Balabayas the third cup. In fact, they pour for everyone the third cup. Mevorech Halav Berakas Hamazon, one recites on it Berakas Hamazon benching, or Boire Priha Geffen, probably the Mechaber would have said, and Boire Priha Geffen, although we do say Goffen, Vesheiseu Ba'aseva, and one drinks it leaning. V'lo Yevorech Achrov, there's no bracha achrona. Why isn't there bracha achrona? Because the bracha achrona, which is recited on the fourth cup, will absolve the hagofen, the wine drunk, for the third cup. One should not drink wine between the third cup and the fourth cup, as we'll see why in the Mishnah Berurah. I think I can imagine you're already thinking of the reasons why not to drink after the third cup. We'll come to it shortly. Mishnah Berurah Sif Katan Aleph. Moizgen like they pour the third cup. This is a kosher bracha. It should be washed inside and outside. Hadocha is inside the cup and shtifa is the outside of the cup. Or if we learn over there, it can actually be wiped clean. The concern is maybe it has some crumbs inside it. It may not, if it's not clean, it needs to be clean. But although even somebody who's not careful throughout the year to make sure it's absolutely clean, nevertheless, on this night, he should go and make sure and wash it, especially for the third cup. Because in truth, if you look in Siman Kuf Pei Gimel, it says there that once a becha has been for a kosher bracha, it says that, for example, Kiddush Havdalah, it should be washed or wiped, meaning shtifa and hadocha, inside and outside, either washing or being wiped, because of crumbs that might be at the bottom of the cup. But if the cup is clean, then it's not really necessary to do so. Mishnah Berurah says, nevertheless, it should be washed unless it's already well cleaned. You don't need to. But here, I'll say that we're even more particular. The others who've got other minhagim with regards to Abechas, Sfadim, Chasidim, they comply with the Zohar Kodesh, who always says you should always wash the becha before use, the Kafachayim, Pischei Teshuvos writes about this. But there's other minhagim as well. The bells have got a minhag to pour 3 drops of water from the wet cup into the bottle to fix the wine in the bottle in case it's pogum, and then pour the wine into the becha, which is obviously still wet. The other minhagim, Al Kapan in the Shulchan Aruch, the Mishnah Berurah, we're learning over here. Mishnah Berurah says over here one should make sure the becha is clean, even if one's not so particular the rest of the year, and one should wash it and dry it. Sivkatan base. Main thing is it's clean. Sivkatan base. Even if a person is benching by himself, then normally, often, many people are not particular to have a kos shel bracha, to have a gofen on benching if I'm doing benching by himself. Nevertheless, he should on Pesach have a third cup in order to fulfill the third cup of wine. Even if we say generally Birkas doesn't need a cup of wine, nevertheless, we have to have 4 cups on this night. Then every cup of wine should be accompanied with a mitzvah. The third cup is on benching. We bench and we have the third cup of wine. Now there's a very interesting dirshu note. In my edition, it's dirshu number 5. Shlomo Zalman discusses here somebody who is not capable of benching. Let's say he couldn't eat the matzah for some medical reason, or let's say he ate the matzah and he sicked it up, but he was not able to. Not able to bench. So what should he do with regard to the third cup? Because he can't bench, so how is he meant to have the third cup? Every kos of the seder goes on a part of the seder. So he brings here from Shlomo Zalman that if somebody who can't eat matzah is not benching, for example, then he should eat something and say ala michya, or even burn nefashos in order that the kos shlishi would go on this burn nefashos. That means, I suppose he means before the afikomen. Well, if he had the afikomen, why is he not benching? Unless he picked up the afikomen. Interesting. He can't have the afikomen. It's about somebody who can't eat matzah for some reason, or maybe it's past the she'ikah, he can't bench. For whatever reason, he's not benching. He should have some other food and make a bracha achrona and have the kos, the third cup on this food that he is eating. Yeah, obviously, as I said, we have to obviously talk about cases, and there is also no issue of eating after the afikomen, as we said. Okay, so Kitzur, he's not benching, so he has the third cup of wine on ala michya or on a burn nefashos, which is interesting. Somebody in my family this year, they forgot all about the third cup of wine, and only after Hallel, or into Hallel, or after Hallel, I think, they didn't have a cup of wine. So perhaps they could also do this, eat something now, they make bracha achrona on the cup of wine. And although it's in the wrong seder, that means the fourth cup was before the third cup, we learned yesterday, but that's not a problem. The problem with this would be the issue of eating after the afikomen, or would have to weigh up what to do. It's an interesting shaila, interesting question what to do, not sure. Right, Sivkot Gimel, V'shaseh Be'aseva. And the third cup is eaten while it's leaning. If a person didn't lean, should you drink it again? There's a problem with drinking another cup of wine if it's going to need a hagofe because of which we've discussed previously in the earlier simonim, that one has to drink 4 cups of wine on Seder, 4 berei pri hagofens according to us Ashkenazim, and to take another cup of wine and make a hagofen on it is a concern of Moshe al hakoises. Therefore, if a person didn't lean, particularly after benching, then there's a concern of Moshe al hakoises, and you can rely on this opinion of the Rav Yah, who says nowadays we don't lean. There's other concerns also with regards to drinking after the meal. One is a concern of shikrus. A person may become shikar, drunk, and won't be able to fulfill the mitzvahs of the night properly after that. Additionally, there's another issue of drinking. It can disturb the taste of the afikomen. This is brought also by some Rishonim, and it's also brought in a dirshu note somewhere here at the back. So that's really enough, and 3 reasons not to drink after the Shulchan Aruch, the meal. It's actually brought later on in Tov Pei Aleph, Sivkatan Aleph. So, where are we? Sivkatan. Sivkatan Aleph. No bracha is recited after the third cup of wine. There's no bracha achrona because the bracha achrona on the fourth cup absolves the third cup. Siv cotton, daled v'afilu shosa kol revius. Even if you had the entire cup, the whole revius, nevertheless, it doesn't make a bracha achrona. The soimach a bracha achrona to bracha kos revius. Bracha achrona recited on the fourth cup absolves the third cup of wine. V'lo yishtei yayin. He should not drink wine between the third and fourth cup. Why? Siv cotton hey. Shema yishtaker, because he may become shikar, v'yishan, and fall asleep. And then he won't complete the hallel. Interesting, because yesterday we said on the issue of falling asleep, we said that the Mishnah Berurah and Sivkot and Zionis and Metof Ein Vav said that there's the Tosefta, he brings the Tosefta, a person has to learn, involve himself in the Hilchos Pesach the whole night, and doesn't mention the fact that if a person becomes sick and falls asleep, he won't be able to fulfill the other mitzvahs of the Laila, for example, the four kosos and Hallel. Interesting. Okay, but here he says that he'll become drunk and he won't recite the Hallel. Sif Cotton Hey continues. Some say the reason we shouldn't have another cup of wine after the third cup. It looks like he's adding to the cups of wine. Now we've learned already, most falakosis is a concern when a person makes hagofen on a cup of wine. If no hagofen is being recited, it's not a concern of Mosif al hakosis. So that would depend on the situation. The Achronim say this is important. Lav dafka yain, not just wine shouldn't be drunk. In other liquids that make a person drunk, alcoholic drinks. However, if it's not alcoholic, it's mutter. As long as it's not a national beverage, because if it would be a Chava Medina, then there's another concern. Since one could fulfill the 4 cups of wine with a Chama Medina, which is some type of national drink, perhaps coffee, tea, Coca-Cola, I don't know, but perhaps, although it's not alcoholic, it's discussion. Or maybe they just considered water, whatever. But upon him, any national beverage, let's say they have national beverages to have a thick apple drink. So that also is something which one could fulfill the mitzvah of direct cases with, and therefore there'll be issue of most fellow cases to drink that. So Mishnah Berurah says over here, not just to avoid a drink which can make a person, which is alcoholic, but also to avoid any national drink through which theoretically a person could fulfill his direct cases, because that would involve an issue of most fellow cases. It looks like he's having more than the required 4 cups of wine. So again, to reiterate, there's actually 3 issues of drinking after the meal. One is the concern most falakosis. It looks like he's having more cups than the required 4, which is only a concern if he's making a brach on it. Number 2, concern he may become shikar. Number 3, concern of negating the taste of the afikomen. Interesting, Mishnah Berurah Cotton Base said they want to avoid all drinks apart from water, or something similar to water. But here he's more specific and tells us what the problem is. The problem is something. The 4 cups. Yeah. So that's what we're learning today. We learned today Tofa and Ches. Afikomen doesn't eat anything. Afikomen should be eaten in one place. Afikomen should be eaten without sleeping in between. If a person sleeps in the middle of afikomen, well, you can't eat the rest of afikomen. If it's a group of people and some of them remain awake, or even if they all doze off, they don't all fall asleep, then it's continued one setting and one sitting, and that's fine. And in our sermon, we saw pouring the 3rd cup, meaning benching, hagofen, drinking it when one's leaning, no bracha achrona, and no drinks after the 3rd, between the 3rd and 4th cup, because of these 3 various reasons. We matzliach, all the best. Looking forward to welcoming you all, as Hashem, to the Ramah in Simtov Ayin Tes tomorrow, the Siyata Dish Maya.